We be live. Hello, everybody. Let me know if my audio is good. I'm a little bit sick, so that's why my voice is different, but that's fine. Make sure you like the stream. Let me know in the stream, in the live chat. Guys, if you're watching this later, it's much better to watch this live. So make sure you're subscribed and also hit the bell notification so you could be here live. So while we are streaming these, you could actually participate in the discussion with me. So people are saying hello, hello, hi, people. Okay, great. Oh, shalom. This is a good way to start the stream. So I'm doing another video from the channel The Muslim Lantern. Again, guys, this channel, this Muslim Lantern YouTube channel is like growing so fast. It's becoming the main English Islamic channel out there. Like it's passing Muhammad Hijab, Ali Dava, Smile to Jannah. This guy is killing it. Let me see. Guys, have you liked the stream? People are confirming. Some people are confirming that they've already liked the stream. Yes, please do that. Please make sure you like the stream so that the people who are not liking the stream know that it's shameful. Like, seriously, like, look at yourself. Why are you watching the stream without liking it? Like, what is, it helps us grow. So please go ahead and do it. Soha is saying audio is great. Thank you, Soha, for confirming that. Okay, David is confirming. Space Leah saying done the liking. Hey, Roy saying hi from Israel. Hi, Roy. It's great to have Roy here. All right, guys, let's watch this. We're going to get back to Israel-Palestine videos, but I want to make sure that we do our purely Islamic videos as well. It's important that we do that. Why am I getting so many messages on my phone? All right, let's get this. So this video intrigued me because it's very, for people who come here for just Israel and Palestine videos, you have to understand that these is purely Islamic videos are very important. The Islamic ideology is spreading like a disease. There's two ideologies right now that are very dangerous for the future of our planet. If you're worried about Israel, you should be worried for the planet as well, because last time I checked, Israel was on planet Earth. And the future of our planet is now being threatened by two ideologies. Like, there are many other ideologies that are threatening the future, but Islam and wokeism right now are the main two. Right? And even if far-right ideology becomes a threat, which sometimes it does, it comes and goes, but every time far-right ideology takes over again, it's because wokeism opened the door to it, right? So even when far-right takes over, I blame wokeism. I mean, technically, I'm blaming wokeism for everything, because even when Islam comes to liberal countries, I blame wokeism as well. So it's kind of wokeism that is the main problem here. But again, Islam and wokeism are basically at the gate of the, I'm not going to say the word because YouTube is going to think I'm talking about Muslims rather than Islam itself. So I'm not going to say it. But this is a threat. This is a major threat. And we need to teach people how to respond. And this Muslim Lantern, this is why I'm reviewing the Muslim Lantern channel, because this guy is really good. This guy represents the best Dawah activism that is out there. So if you want to know why people are finding Islam interesting and being convinced by it, then Muslim Lantern is the best YouTube channel to watch to see why people are finding it appealing, right? By the way, we already got a super chat. Let me check if we're still monetized. Guys, do you like my voice? I'm sick. Is my voice better or worse? Probably better. Okay, we're still monetized. But thank you for the super sticker by Ramo B. Appreciate the $5 Canadian super chat. It's so high up there. I'm not gonna show. Oh yeah, it's a lemon. It's a lemon with hearts for eyes. Very interesting. I like describing the super stickers. So guys, if you send us super stickers, if you send us super chats, I will read the super chats. If you send us super stickers, I will try my best to describe what I see the super sticker, because when I highlight it, it doesn't show, but I will do my best to describe what's happening. So this super sticker was specifically a very happy lemon with hearts for eyes, as usually lemons, as you usually find them in nature. Again, I am sick today, having my cough syrup. Hold on. All right, let's do this. The voice is understandable. Okay. Oh yeah, Roy is saying shout out to Armin for stream while sick as hell. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you recognizing. I'm here for you guys, even when I'm sick. All right, let's finish this.
So
if you can repeat your question, please. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm curious why, to me, it seems like a God who demands and punishes us if we don't believe enough. He seems tyrannical. He seems like a God who sort of he just seems tyrannical, and I'm curious why you don't feel the same way. Sure,
Yeah,
because clearly you don't.
I don't feel the same way, and I don't feel the need to justify anything. If someone doesn't believe in God, then whether he calls God tyrannical or not tyrannical is irrelevant, because he doesn't believe it exists. So why is he afraid of punishment?
Well, no, I'm saying.
Okay, so completely missing the point, the Muslim lantern. First of all, saying when I believe in God, I don't really care about how you describe him. I'm just going to follow him. Is kind of confirming what this atheist guy is saying, right? So Andy is the atheist here, and Muhammad Ali over there is the Muslim. So Andy is saying your God sounds like a tyrant, like telling us to do this and that, and if he doesn't do that, he will punish us. That sounds like a tyrant. And Muhammad Ali responds like, yeah, I believe in my God and I follow him, and I don't care if you want to describe him as a tyrant, go ahead. It doesn't matter to me. Like, I'm just going to follow orders. These are my orders and I'm just going to follow it, which confirms what Andy is saying. Your God is a tyrant because his followers are just blind followers. You know, the followers of your God are blind followers. And then he responds, Muslim Lantern responds to Andy by asking a question, which clearly shows that he doesn't understand what Andy is saying. He says like, well, if you don't believe in him, then what are you afraid of? The entire point was not about whether Andy is afraid or not afraid. Andy is looking at this character that you guys believe in, and he looking at its characteristics and saying like, well, this is how we look at, but this is how a tyrant is defined, right? And you're like, oh, why you're afraid of it? Like, who talked about being afraid? If I read Harry Potter and I look at Voldemort, I'm like, okay, Voldemort is evil based on the way that it's being described in Harry Potter. I'm like, oh, why you care? You come to me, I'm like, why are you describing him as evil? You don't even believe he exists. I'm like, okay, I don't care if he exists or not. Based on how you're describing Voldemort, that's an evil character. So Muhammad Ali completely missing the point. But here's the thing: the way Muhammad Ali looks and the way he speaks with confidence and the way he's calm about it gives his audience, I think, the illusion that he's speaking the truth. So he's speaking nonsense, but he's saying it with such confidence and with such a calm manner that his audience loves it, because usually that you will think that somebody who's that confident and is so calm, like, so Andy is making good points and asking good questions, but you can see he's like like Muhammad Ali is sitting straight. He has like a face that Muslims usually associate with somebody who has light in his face, like somebody that has the blessings of Allah, and he's calm and he's confident and he's not like moving his body that much. So that comes across as somebody that is probably saying something that is true. It doesn't matter whether what he's saying makes logical sense or not. It's about the appearance. But anyway, we've got another super chat. Thank you so much, Troel. Troel is saying, as we would say in Danish, good betterment. Good betterment? Isn't that redundant? Good betterment. Well, thank you so much, Troel, for the super chat. Let me see if we're still monetized. I mean, I haven't said anything bad today. Okay, good. We're like, if I was demonetized by now, I would have lost my mind, because we haven't said anything that isn't remotely controversial. But guys, thank you so much for the super chat. Guys, for the people who are not sending us super chats, that's completely okay. You should not be sending a super chat. Do not. You are not on this channel. On this channel, it is illegal. It is not allowed. It's banned on this channel to send us super chats if you're struggling financially. Only the only people who even consider sending us super chats or supporting us in any other ways financially, either on Patreon or PayPal, link in the description, are the people who are completely financially secure. Okay, you must be an idiot if you don't have your finances secured and want to support us or any other content creator, take care of yourself first, right? However, what if I told you that there's a way for you to support us for a low price of $0? What if I told you that was a possibility, that you could do this and help this channel, even financially help this channel without spending any money yourself? Would you not take it? Isn't that a great deal? Well, there is. You could like the stream. That would support this channel, and it costs you nothing. So please at least do that. Okay? Thank you. My God, my voice. All right, let's continue.
That why, like, the
Are
God...
you fearing punishment yourself?
No.
Look, are you fearing punishment yourself? Yeah, good question. No, he said no. So this is not about fear. This is about describing your God.
Like, the God...
Are you fearing punishment yourself?
No.
Then you got nothing to worry about.
No,
I guarantee you there is a punishment waiting.
Sure. I'm...
What he's like, are you fear punishment yourself? He says no. Like, well, then you have nothing to worry about. And then he says, I guarantee there's a punishment for you waiting. First of all, contradicting what he just said half a second ago, because he said there's nothing, you don't have to worry. Did I hear him correctly? He just contradicted himself.
Then you got nothing to worry about.
No,
I guarantee you there is a punishment waiting.
There's nothing, then you have nothing to worry about. And then he guaranteed that there's a punishment waiting. So again, this entire video, that his discussion with this atheist was about whether his God is a tyrant or not, whether the Muslim God is a tyrant or not. And he's now saying, I guarantee you there is a punishment waiting. Okay, yeah, a tyrant God.
Sure. I'm like in for the theology, like, why do we believe in a God? But like, this question to me is like, the God you're presenting to me seems like an evil God. And it seems like very petulant, very childish, very petty. He seems to care overly much about what we believe in him as over like our actions. Like, if you imagine a good parent,
is believing in action or no?
It very much depends how you think about it. But yeah, sure.
Yeah. So believing is an action. So what you just said is incorrect rationally, because you.
Okay, so he's being pedantic here, right? Guys, do you agree with me? He's just being this is such a bad faith way of arguing with somebody. He's saying that your God is evil because he seems to care more about our beliefs, whether we believe in him or not, rather what actions we're taking, right? So I think I understood what Andy is trying to say, and I think you guys understood what Andy is trying to say. But Muhammad Ali is either an idiot or he is just being bad faith. He's like, well, believing is an action. So if you don't believe in God, you said our God doesn't care about your actions. Well, not believing or believing are also a subcategory of actions. Yeah, but do you not understand what he's trying to say? Obviously, by actions, he means actions other than just believing. That's what he means. Why are you being pedantic? Am I wrong about this? Yeah, David is saying he's being bad faith. Okay, what Andy is trying to say is that, let me translate something to you, Muhammad Ali, something that is pretty apparent and obvious to me and almost all of the audience, right? What Andy is trying to say is that rather than looking, if he wants to judge us, rather than looking at how kind we're being, are we causing harm? Are we causing misery? Or are we making people happy? Are we reducing pain and suffering from the world? Or are we adding to it? Rather than these being his main judgment points, the number one, the most important thing that your God cares about seems to be, do you believe in me or not? Like, what the hell? That's what Andy, like, obviously that's a stupid God. That's a God like that doesn't have his priorities straight. He's so self-obsessed. That's not a kind God. That's not a good God. So the example I come up with is that, imagine if you, like, let's say, oh God, well, God deserves respect. God deserves worship. God deserves to be noticed. God deserves to be thanked. He's so good to us that he should get that. Like, this argument is like saying, like, imagine if you had a parent that does everything that they could to take care of their children. to give them the best life. Give them food, give them opportunities, give them, education, everything that they need. And you're the mom, and you're doing this all for your children. And in the morning, the child comes downstairs at the breakfast table, and then you have everything. You had their favorite food ready, everything is there, and she's just on her phone, and she doesn't even look at you, doesn't say good morning, just comes and eats just a little bit and just walks away without saying thank you or anything, right? Imagine, okay, so was that bad? Yeah, that's bad. That's like an ungrateful child. But this is a false analogy for two reasons. First of all, there's evidence for this mom that she exists, and it's evidence that she put the food on the table and did the other things. If the mom was playing hide and seek with us, and it wasn't very clear that she was real, it wouldn't be as much of a crime for you to not to thank her. But even if it was such a big, horrible crime, what if the mom decided that, okay, this daughter of mine that I love so much, that I did so much for her, was ungrateful to me. So you just go grab her by the, hair. I'm gonna have to be careful. YouTube is gonna demonetize. You just turn on the oven and, okay, how do I say this on YouTube without getting in trouble? Okay, you put in the oven and you turn the oven to a certain degree that you make sure something very painful happens to somebody for a very long amount of time. That person being your daughter, because she was ungrateful. Obviously, you wouldn't be like, well, she didn't thank her, so obviously this would be a justified response. Obviously, that's not a justified response, even if she was not thankful. That's like evil. That's like horrible. If we don't accept that from such a mom, why would we accept that from the Rahman Rahim, the God that is supposed to be all loving and all merciful? It's insane. It's insane. And Andy is trying to make that point, and instead of responding to what Andy is saying, Muhammad Ali here is like, oh, well, believing is an action technically. Oh my God, technically, like being like nerdy and like, what the fuck? Respond to the argument. You know what the argument here is. Anyways, let's continue.
That he doesn't care about our actions, and believing in him is one of the actions. And the consequences of...
Let me see if I got demonetized for saying that. No, we're good. We're good. Guys, do you like my new sick voice? Is it good?
He doesn't care about our actions, and believing in him is one of the actions. And the consequences of not believing in him is doing everything else wrong, because your desires becomes your God. You do whatever you want to do in your day-to-day life. You become the moral source of what you should and what you shouldn't do. Like for you, you're a prime example. What is right and wrong? Can you tell me?
So here's the thing. This person, Muhammad Ali, thinks that without God, everything you do is wrong. Even if you're doing good in the world and you're helping people, you're still, if you don't believe in God, you're technically doing something wrong, because the reason why you did those good things was for your own desire, right? Which is such an insane point to make, because technically everything he does is also for his own desires. Technically everything everyone does is for their own desires. Even if you worship God, Allah, is either because you desire being Muslim, you desire going to heaven, you desire being a slave of Allah. This is all based on desire. Let me take out my cough syrup. All right, let's continue. So he's like, what is good and so now they're going to talk about morality. How does Andy decide what is good and what is wrong?
What is right and wrong? Can you tell me?
No, it's a curious problem. It's a big problem.
Oh, Andy doesn't have an answer. Muslim Lantern, come talk to me. I have an answer for you. I have a better answer than you, okay? If you think what is good is what Allah says so, and what is bad is what Allah says is bad, that's one response. I have such much better response, okay? Andy doesn't have a response here for you. I do, okay? Guys, somebody asked, maybe I should contact him. Yeah, I will contact the Muslim Lantern and see if I could have a discussion for him. It seems like he doesn't have long discussions. Like, it seems like he gets bored with his, if somebody is disagreeing with him, he just kicks them off very fast. But if he's willing to actually be patient with me and talk to me, I would like to have a long discussion with him about all of this.
Yeah, whatever you think. So how do you behave in your life? How have you been behaving? You're doing what you like.
To a certain extent, yeah.
Yeah, so you're just proving.
You too. You're like, oh, well, how you been living your life? You just do what you like. Everybody does that, including Muslims. If you're worshiping Allah, it's because you like worshiping Allah. It's either because you just like to be a Muslim or you like heaven. I don't know, but we're all a slave to our desires, including Muslims. There's not a single person that does anything other than what they desire, unless they're doing something out of unwillingly, like, I don't know, muscle twitch or something like that.
Yeah, so you're just proving my point. So the minute you disbelieve in a creator, you become your own God, and the consequence of disbelieving in
This is such a nonsense point. When you become a disbeliever, you become your own God. Guys, these are playing with words. What is God? God, how do we use the word God? God means, okay, how most people use the word God means the conscious creator and moderator of the universe, right? And or moderator of the universe. So how am I my own God if I follow my desires or if I don't believe in God? If following my desires makes me a God, then you're a God, Muhammad Ali. You're also a God. You become your own God. Have I created the universe? Do I make the sun rise? Huh? Do I make it rain? I don't. Okay, not that I know of, at least. But I don't do any of that. Like, what is, like, you're just playing with words. This is not a good way to have. Let's use words the way that, with proper definitions, so that we could communicate better.
You become your own God, and the consequence of disbelieving in a creator will influence everything else to do with your life. It's to pretend that this is a simple thing. It is no way a simple thing. So it has an influence on everything you will behave, how you will behave.
By the way, the audio drops here because of Muhammad Ali. I didn't drop the audio. Unicorn is saying, Armin, you make the sunrise on all our hearts. Oh, well, thank you. Oh, that's so nice. Okay. Well, maybe I am God then. I worship me. Okay, wait. That might be so. Actually, wait a minute. I take that back. This is Susanna. If Susanna is watching this stream, she's gonna think like this is cultish behavior. Okay, guys, do not worship me. Even if it sounds like a joke, that's the beginning of starting a cult. Okay, do not.
It is no way a simple thing. So it has an influence on everything you will behave, how you will behave in the rest of your life,
Audio drop.
whether you believe in a creator or you don't believe in a creator. So it is literally why you exist on here. That's why it's a test in this life. Because when you don't believe in a creator, you will act in a specific way. And when you believe in a creator, you'll act in a different way.
Well, I don't think that's true. I don't think people generally do bad things regardless of whether
Do you
or not
pork?
they believe in it. I do, yeah.
Okay, so Andy made a mistake here. Andy is trying to make a point that people do good or bad things with or without their religion. But the way he said it, Andy says it's not true. What Muhammad Ali was saying was your beliefs do have an effect on your actions, and yeah, they do. So Andy just walked into a trap right now. So Andy is like, no, they don't affect you, and so now Muhammad Ali has got him. Muhammad Ali is now going to say like, well, let me give you some examples of the things that you do because you're not a Muslim.
Things regardless of whether
Do you
or
eat
not
pork?
they believe in it.
So he's asking, do you eat pork?
I do, yes.
Do you drink alcohol?
I do. Sometimes,
Do you have
not much.
Do you fornicate?
As much as possible.
Okay, so
Good.
you're just proving my point. Your actions
Well, why
are
are
the
these
opposite.
immoral?
Your actions are the opposite of mine. So you just said you don't believe, not believing in God will have an influence on your actions, and you're just telling me how they're having an influence on your actions.
Yeah, but that's not what Andy was trying to get at. Andy was trying to get at, and he didn't do a good job pointing it out. Andy was trying to say that people are good or bad with or without their religion. That's what he was trying to get.
Me believing in God is having an influence on how I behave. And you not believing in God is also having an influence on how you behave. Now, I don't need to convince you that they're moral or immoral, because by definition, you need to tell me the source of morality, whether you believe in objective or not. You don't.
Ooh, I have such good sources of morality. I have way superior methods of finding good or bad to Islam. I mean, it's really easy to be superior to Islam because Islam is at the bottom of the barrel. Islam is inferior to almost everything. Islam is the worst. I think the only thing that is inferior to Islam, I would think that it could be communism. I haven't decided that. Maybe, probably, yeah. Yeah, communism. But it's pretty, yeah, Islam is inferior when it comes to finding the standards for good and bad compared to almost every other ideology. But yeah, but if you want a Muslim lantern, let's have a talk. I will tell you how to define good and bad.
Believe in God to begin with. So we will have to come back whether there is a God or there isn't a God. The reason we say these are...
Oh, so Space Leah saying Nazism doesn't do it? No, Islam and communism are way, 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 way worse than Nazism. Nazism is horrible, but oh my God, communism and Islam, not even, like, way worse. Way, both of them are worse, for sure, like, without it. I mean, I shouldn't say without a doubt, because we should always be skeptical.
The reason we say these are immoral, because what determines morally right and wrong is God. So by extension, if God said those things are wrong, they become objectively wrong, because God is the one who determines what is objectively right and objectively wrong. But again, my point still stands. If you don't believe in a creator, it's not as simple as just I don't believe in a creator. No. It is that the rest of your life will be a consequence, accountability. Things that you will do will all be related to whether you believe in God or not. That's why the biggest casualties of human history are by atheists, people who don't believe in God.
Ooh.
People who have no sense of objective morality. Therefore, they become their own God. You got the biggest massacres that took place in human history. The biggest killings were for political reasons, worldly reasons, gain, this and that. Has nothing to do with the belief of God, has nothing to do with religion. And there are multiple studies on that. Like Navabi has a study, for example, in Louisville University.
Oh, that study was so dishonest. I also did a review. I think I did a stream on this as well. I reviewed this. And what these people don't tell you is that they're comparing death counts from times where people didn't have modern advanced weaponry to death counts where we have the advancement of technology. So here's the thing that Muhammad Ali doesn't understand. Correlation does not equal causation, right? So we had, throughout history, we had religion losing, its influence, decade by decade. And at the same time, throughout history, we had access to more modern advanced weaponry. So when religion has less of an influence in wars and politics, especially after the Industrial Revolution, and we had like non-religious governments as well taking part in war, but because the weapons were more advanced, now we had higher body counts, and at the same time, religion is losing its influence. So this is just an external factor here, which is that is correlated to both, is time. So time is making both of these things happen at the same time, less influence of religion and also more advanced weaponry. But it's not because there's no causal link between less religion and more death counts. The causal link is time passing and people having more access to bigger weaponry. So for you to show that lack of religion is the reason why we had higher death counts, you should have given, I don't know, the Crusaders the same level of advanced weaponry that people had in World War II. Because a lot of the numbers that he has here is from World War II, for example, right? But what if the Crusaders had, I don't know, like atomic bombs? What if the Muslim empire, as it was invading, it had like airplanes and, I don't know, AK-47s or other modern advanced weaponry, right? What if they had that? So again, it's not a fair comparison. You have to take the time period that you have to take the time period that you're in. You have to show causality. Oh, here's what you have to show. So the death in wars that people are dying because of religion, when religion is around, I could show you a direct, not just correlation, but a causal link between the people who are being killed and the religious beliefs. But for example, in World War II, if people are being killed and it's not because of religious reasons, or if Stalin or like Hitler or whatever, whoever, Churchill or whatever, whoever is being killed, If they're being killed, if it's not because of religious reasons, it's also not because of atheism. It's also not because of their lack of religion. You have to show, for you to compare this, you have to show me that their lack of religion was responsible for them killing people. You cannot show that causal link. But when it comes to religious empires and religious governments and religious wars, I could show you the causal link. So what you're showing me here, and again, this research is not even a like an academic peer-reviewed research. It's some Muslim guy trying to make Islam look good. This researcher didn't even understand that correlation is not causation, and Muhammad Ali also doesn't understand that. Guys, what I just told you is very important. Do you guys understand what I said? Don't be careful when people try to throw correlation at you and pretend that it's causation. What I just say makes sense to you guys, because it's very important for you guys to understand this point. All right. So again, if people are saying like, oh my God, look at all of these death counts in wars that, I don't know, like Stalin killed a whole bunch of people. Like I'll make it very simple. Okay. Stalin killed a lot of people. Okay. Mao killed a lot of people. Stalin and Mao were atheists. Okay. But here's the question. Did they do it because of their atheism? Did they do it in the name of atheism? No. Their atheism, you cannot show me a causal link between their atheism and the people they killed. But when you have religious wars, when you have Christian or Islamic rulers killing in the name of Islam, I could show you a causal relationship between them killing the infidels and their religious beliefs. I could show you that link. Anyways, let's continue. Oh, thank you, David. I appreciate that.
Diversity, showcasing you that how the biggest human casualties are coming from atheism and these anti-theist groups. Sorry?
Sorry, I just wanted to pull. It's an interesting topic. I just want to pull a little bit back to the sort of philosophical angle, which is, to me, it seems like we're doing the same thing. At a certain point, you're deciding whether or not, which part of how well you understand God's commandment. So sure, God told us this is true, and we can accept that as the true word of God. But at a certain point, you're reading it, you're interpreting it, you're getting the information into your brain, and this is the same sort of divine action and that you're accusing me of, saying that actually I think that I'm God. Well, to a certain extent.
Are you comparing receiving information with determining information? Are you just did you just conflate the two as if they're synonymous?
I'm saying that I did.
So me receiving information from a friend is not the same as me determining to do what he told me or what he didn't tell me.
No, but you're determining whether or not he's speaking the truth, right?
To claim that the two are the same thing is just purely irrational.
No, I'm saying
no, it's not irrational. Andy has a good point here. I don't know if he's making the point very effectively, but he has a very good point. Okay. Atheists are constantly being accused of like making up their morality, and to that I say yes, we do make up morality, and we do a very good job making up morality. It's working, right? And morality is made up, and if you make it up effectively, it helps. Society will progress. But Muslims are like, oh, you guys make up your morality. We don't make up our morality. Yes, you do. You also make up your morality. I'm like, no, we don't. It comes to us by God. Andy is making 2 points here. Well, you have decided, we as atheists will say you have made up that God, but even as from a Muslim perspective, you have decided to accept that there is a God that has sent you those commandments. Those are your interpretation of, objective reality. You say it's objective, but even if it was objective, because you decided that this is objective reality, at the end of the day, it makes it subjective. Even if you think you have access to objective reality, because it's your opinion that this is objective reality, it ends up being subjective. So because there's a human filter in the middle, at the end of the day, it will always be subjective. So you have decided that this Islam is true. So that's one reason why this is you are making it up as you go, right? And you also have decided that this interpretation of what God has said is the true one. And Muhammad Ali is now trying to pretend like, no, this is pretty clear. God had told me this, and it's pretty clear what God has said. But judging by all the various sects in Islam and all the disagreements between the ulama in Islam, I would say that, no, Andy has a point. God's commandments is like every two Muslims have three different opinions on what this really means. So again, it's still up to interpretation, two levels of interpretation. So Andy has a very good point here.
That if you're determining what actions to make based on what God has told you, you determine it based on what you believe to be true about God, but this is a determination act.
That's not as the same as determining whether I'm wrong.
You're determining whether you're right or wrong. You're determining whether
I'm not. I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Well,
yes,
you get this information from God, right?
Uh-huh.
And how you to interpret this information? Is this not an act? Is this not a part of?
No, I don't interpret nothing. The Prophet ﷺ, he told us how to understand the Quran. Quran is clear.
No, yeah, but you have decided that the Quran is the word of God, and you have interpreted. You came to this world, you look at around you, and you interpreted everything that you saw, and you came to the conclusion that the Quran is the word of God, and you came to this interpretation that to understand the Quran, you have to look at the Sunnah, you have to look at Muhammad and his way to be able to understand what the Quran is saying. These are all interpretation. And even if Muhammad says how you have to interpret the Quran, again, what Muhammad said is also how he said it. There's different interpretations of what Muhammad has said. It's not as clear as you making it seem, because if it was clear, you wouldn't have all these different sects.
And his life and his companion's life is the way how we understand the Quran.
Yeah, and those are methods of determination.
That's not interpretation.
And also, even the companions of Muhammad don't agree with each other. The companions of Muhammad don't agree with each other. Like if you go read what the companions of Muhammad did, they have disagreements. They still have disagreements. So yeah, it's up to your interpretation.
I think you're using terms that with all due respect, either you don't understand or you're using incorrectly. And interpretation is you have an ambiguous term that has more than one meaning, and then you try to interpret.
Yeah, your book, the Quran, is ambiguous. I mean, I'm glad. Actually, if you don't think it's ambiguous, then it's easier to take you down, because the easiest interpretation of Islam is so horrible. Like, it's such a vile and disgusting book if you want to go with the most plausible interpretation. But if you don't want to go with the most plausible interpretation, then your morality is as subjective as anyone else's.
To understand what is the correct meaning. Now, if I give you a clear command, drink water, you don't interpret my command to drink water or not to drink water, because it's a clear command. Drink water means drink water. If there's a bottle.
Okay, so if he wants to claim that the Quran is this clear, then the Quranic verses that tells you to beat your wife is just saying to beat your. This is such an easy takedown of Muhammad Ali here, because he just believes that the Quran is telling you to beat your wife, and then he claims that his morality is superior to us. Like, it's so easy to take this guy down, because if he thinks that the Quran is clear, then he must believe the most vile things, because the clear interpretation of the Quran is extremely vile and disgusting, and he believes in it. The Quran clearly, if you want to go with the clear interpretation, clearly advocates for sex slavery, and even have raping women that you capture in war. So I really want to have a debate with this Muhammad Ali guy, because I don't know how he's going to respond to these claims.
Next to you. Drink from this bottle next to you. You drink from the bottle next to you. Now, interpretation is a completely different thing. Is where you have a statement that is ambiguous, that could have multitude of different meanings, and then you come to a conclusion. The Quran is very clear. Prophet ﷺ shows us how to understand the Quran, how to implement it. That's why he was living, he was implementing it.
Oh yeah. Also, if he believes that Muhammad showed us the way of how to follow the Quran, then he also believes in child marriage. And I don't think it's even fair to call it child marriage. I think we should call it child rape, because But he believes in that. He must believe in that if he thinks that the way of the Prophet is the way to follow the Quran. So, and then imagine somebody who believes in sex slavery, in child rape, and beating your wife, and telling to atheists that you don't have morality. I mean, the audacity. Like, imagine that. We're being talked down. We atheists are being talked down when it comes to morality by people who believe in having sexual intercourse with children, and capturing sex slaves in war, and beating your wife. And then they come around and tell us that you guys don't have morality. What the hell? This is opposite, man.
I think
We can
this is
understand.
Yeah, but I think this is entirely semantic. Like the word is, you get information, you have the information, and this information transfers to your mind. That's the important thing for my point. I'm saying that at the point of transference, at the point you're
We lost. Wait, guys. I have some news. I have some news. Do you guys know what the news is? Can you guess what the news is? Oh my god, my voice is gone. We have been demonetized. Demonetized. I'm going to request a review. It was the word. I was trying to be a good boy today. I was trying to be a very, very good boy. But I said the bad words. I said sex slavery. I said Hitler. What else did I say? What are the bad things I said? I said um, sexual intercourse with children by YouTube. These are not things I like. I didn't advocate for these things. I'm against these things. So why would you demonetize me? Why? Why would you take it? But guys, this is the moment that you say, and it's gone. And it's gone. Gone. Yes, exactly. It's gone. Yeah. And it's gonna be person. All right. It's okay. It's okay. But again, I want to thank the people who gave us super chats because as you can see, we are demonetized and we would not be able to do these streams if it wasn't because of your super chat. So very much appreciate all the super chats. So let's continue.
definitely true. Well, maybe it is clear, but maybe it isn't. How do you know this? How do you approach this knowledge claim?
Well, I'm not hyper skeptic like you. I trust my experience. I don't doubt my experience because I have no reason to doubt it. You guys do it the opposite way around. You start doubting something without a reason, and you become crazy, and you don't even know whether you exist or the universe exists. And we yeah, I know you do that. I know.
Yeah, you're right, 100%.
I know, and we don't do that. It's so simple. Like
Well, it's not crazy to be skeptical. Like it's a pretty good. It works. I mean, you're like, oh, you atheists are being skeptical about everything, and you don't trust your own senses, and you don't trust what you see, and you guys go crazy. Well, Muhammad Ali, this standard that you call crazy, it's the reason why you right now have the internet and YouTube to make income off of. Like the reason why we have science and technology is because at some point people decided to be skeptical about what the claims that are being made about the world and started to doubt their experiences and try to figure out better methodology to figure out what is a better reflection of objective reality. So you're like, you guys are so crazy. You're skeptical about everything. Well, the modern world that we have right now and all the scientific advancements that we have and everything that you are enjoying, you ungrateful piece of crap. Like imagine he telling us that we're ungrateful to God, a God that he doesn't even have any evidence for that exists. And we have the scientific method that was founded on many principles, including skepticism. And he's the one who's being ungrateful to something real. We are being ungrateful to something that doesn't exist. He's being ungrateful to something that is real, which is the reason why he has such a peaceful life and with a lot of prosperity and a lot of income and a lot of peace of mind and security and food and lack of disease and not having to watch his children die in childbirth, being able to have pull his teeth without having to be tortured if he needed to. Like all of this, he enjoys all of this because of the scientific method by people who embrace skepticism. And then he has the audacity to come and tell like, you skeptics be crazy. I mean, your entire life is because of people that were skeptical. Everything that you own, everything that you have is not because of that silly little God that you worship. It's because of the people that were skeptical enough to produce the scientific method and for you to just enjoy it and thanking the wrong entity for it. Yeah. Let's continue.
I'm smart enough to know that I have no reason to doubt my personal experience. It's been consistent since I was born.
Says the guy that believes in an imaginary friend up in the sky. Like, I believe my senses. I believe I'm reasonable enough to believe in my senses. Okay. Tell me exactly again the beliefs that you have. You believe that Muhammad flew on a horse with a woman's face and went to heaven and talked to God, right? You believe that? You believe that Muhammad cut the moon in half? Like, oh, you believe in you're the logical one here? Sure.
Been repetitive and it seems to be real. I've got no reason to doubt it. You have to give me a reason to doubt it to start with. And you cannot say because it could be something else. That's not a reason. That's
the reason to doubt it is because our minds, okay, the human mind, okay, is not perfect. I mean, you should accept that as a Muslim. This, even as a Muslim, you should agree with this. The human mind is not flawless. So, what our interpretation of reality could be wrong. I mean, you as a Muslim believe that the only absolutely correct mind is the mind of God. So obviously, any mind that is less than perfect could analyze the environment around it incorrectly. That's the reason why we should be skeptical about our conclusions and about our interpretations of what we see and what we feel. Easy. You want a reason? Here's the reason.
a hypothetical scenario. If I live my life based on hypothetical scenarios that has no evidence, like for example, the example I give all the time, that SpongeBob is dancing on the moon. If I keep exploring these ridiculous possibilities, there's a flying pink.
Oh yeah, SpongeBob, like ridiculous. If you believe in this ridiculous claim that SpongeBob is dancing on the moon without any evidence, that's crazy. Okay, says the man that believes that his prophet cut the moon in half with his sword without any evidence. Like, you shouldn't speak about ridiculous beliefs as a Muslim. But even if you do ridiculous beliefs without evidence, but even if you do, please don't mention the moon. Okay? You're a Muslim. Don't give examples of ridiculous beliefs with the moon, because our mind will immediately jump to your ridiculous belief with the moon. Okay? So don't do that. That will backfire. Like, he's like, oh, we ate, like, man, he's talking to there's a Muslim talking to an atheist, and he's talking about, oh, you guys believe in ridiculous things without evidence. Are you freaking serious, dude? He doesn't even understand skepticism. He said, like, oh, you're a skeptic, haha. Skeptics are crazy idiots. And like, why would you believe in things without evidence, you skeptics? He doesn't. That's the opposite of skepticism. That's the entire point of skepticism is not to believe in things without evidence. So he doesn't even understand what he's trying to take down. That's you. That is you, you freaking moron. The skeptics are like, yeah, I don't believe in this thing unless I have evidence. And like, you skeptics, you're such a moron. You believe in things without evidence. No, that's the religious guy. That's the Muslim. That's a Muslim who believes in things without evidence, not the skeptic. He doesn't even know the definition of skeptic. He doesn't even understand how skepticism works. Oh my God. I want to yell today, but my voice, because I'm sick, my voice is not helping.
Else, that's not a reason. That's a hypothetical scenario. If I live my life based on hypothetical scenarios that has no evidence, like for example,
we're not okay. Skeptics are not believe in these hypotheticals. Skeptics provide these hypotheticals to show you why they cannot just accept the narrative. They're not saying the hypothetical is true. So here's the thing. This guy is such an idiot, Muhammad Ali. So you come and make the claim A. You say A, and you don't provide evidence for me. So the skeptic is like, well, A could be true. You didn't give me any evidence for it. But B, C, D, and E, and F also could be true. Okay, so A is not the only option here. And then this idiot thinks that the skeptic is saying B is true or C is true. Like, no, these hypotheticals, I'm not believing in them. I'm just showing you why I don't believe in A. And he's like, oh, you stupid skeptics, you believe in B and C, but we have no evidence. No, we're trying to show you how you also don't have evidence for A. You moron. That's the utility of the hypotheticals. Unicorn with the super chat. Thank you so much, Unicorn, saying, hope you get well soon, Armin. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Wow. I'm trying to get better soon. Okay, let's continue.
Like, for example, the example I give all the time, that SpongeBob is dancing on the moon. If I keep exploring these ridiculous possibilities, there's a flying pink elephant behind my building right now, I will keep looking and wasting my life. Now, I don't do that. I base things based on evidences.
Yeah, flying pink elephant is too ridiculous for Muhammad Ali to believe in. Okay, but a mount with a woman's face that Muhammad rode on to get to heaven, that is not ridiculous. Please don't mention again. Why are you giving these examples? The only two examples he's giving us as ridiculous examples are the examples that you have versions of it in Islam. He mentions the moon, like SpongeBob on the moon, which makes it so easy for me to react to him because he also believes in has ridiculous claims about the moon being cut in half in Islam. And now his second example as a ridiculous thing to believe in is a flying animal. Oh my! Why would you give that example? You know how easy it is for me to like make fun of you right now because you believe in flying mounts with a pink elephant that's flying. That's ridiculous. But a horse with a woman's face that Muhammad flies on, that's not ridiculous. That's okay. That's your belief. Holy crap. Give other examples, not to make it so easy for me to make fun of you. Oh my God.
There is convincing evidence for something, then I would consider that a possibility. If there isn't, then I don't care.
Yeah, well, to flip that around, what is then the evidence for God? What is the proof that it doesn't work for any of the other religions? What is the proof?
You said we went a circle, we came back. You said you want to do that. You don't want to do a theological discussion. And then
but you brought it here. But it's not his fault. You said you telling him that this is such a bad faith argument, Mama. You said you brought it back here. Well, you just told an atheist that he believes in things without evidence as a Muslim. The hypocrisy. Imagine being a Muslim and telling an atheist that you believe in things without evidence. Like the lack of self-awareness here is off the charts.
Wait. I want the theology. Sorry,
I'll tell you my best evidence for the
This Andy guy is such a polite and calm guy.
Existence of God. My best evidence for the existence of God is I don't need to prove the existence of God because it's a part of human nature innately with us. There are multiple studies that show that. Like,
excuse me. Look at his evidence. Oh my God, you're an idiot. Oh my God. Guys, did you hear what he just said? That's his evidence for God? Holy crap. What an idiot. Oh my, okay, look at this.
For the existence of God. My best evidence for the existence of God is I don't need to prove the existence of God because it's a part of human nature innately with us. There are multiple studies that show that, like Justin Barrett's study. Bunch of atheists who conducted a study in Oxford University came to the conclusion. Dr. Oliver Petrovich, he did the same thing on Japanese children. You can look at certain tribes that were separated from the rest of the world. They still believed. Every civilization, literally, in human history, had a belief of a higher entity. So children are born.
Okay, so guys, do you know what the problem with this argument is? This is such a dumb point. Okay, and look at what he's saying and what he puts on the screen are two different things. He does this often. What he says is something, and what he shows on the screen are two different things. So it's true that our minds have seemed to be hardwired to believe that there's something great controlling things. Okay? There's something great up there or somewhere controlling things. Okay? What, guys, tell me why that does not prove God. Tell me why that does not prove God. There's so many, I don't even know where to start. First of all, that is not the definition of God. This mindset, this tendency for us to believe that there's something controlling things, right? It's the same reason why I believe in conspiracy theories. It's the same reason why I believe, I don't know, like Illuminati is controlling the world, or the globalists, or Zionists are controlling everything. Okay? But this is just a higher power. It's seeing agency where there's no agency. It's not God. God. What's the definition of God? The definition of God is the conscious creator of the universe. So there's two problems with this. One, even if this proved, like, let's say all children everywhere in the world were born with the sense of with an inclination to believe that there's something controlling the world, or there's something behind the curtain. There's not the world. There's something controlling things around us, right? Let's say every mind. First of all, it's not every single mind, but most minds everywhere. So it's not every single mind. Like, some people are not like it. Some people do not ever feel that. So it's not every child, but it's everywhere across all civilizations. Yes. First of all, even if that proved that greater power is real, that does not prove God. God is not just a greater force that is controlling things, because that could be Illuminati. Okay, it could be anything. Okay, could be like, I don't know, woo. It could be like, I don't know, energies that some people believe in. God, your God, is specifically a conscious creator of the universe. Do you know this is why, for most of human history or prehistory, like, humans have been around on this planet for, I don't know, 400,000 years, and we have had gods only in the past 10,000 years or 12,000 years. So if we are wired to believe in gods, how come most of this time we didn't believe in gods? You know, we believe in other things. We believed, I don't know, in some other spiritual crap. It wasn't God. God is a recent invention. So we do believe in we do see agency where there's no agency, but agency by itself is not the definition of God. So the problem number one is that even if every single child had, their brain was wired in a way for them to see agency where agency doesn't exist, that is not the same as God. And the proof for that is that throughout the history of mankind, before we had civilization, that we invented gods around the same time we had civilization, right? But humans were around way longer before we had civilization, and we were living in nature without believing in gods. We even believed in afterlife. We believed in spiritual things. We believed in, I don't know, some other stuff, but not gods. So his point is not valid. That's something else. It's not. And again, look at what he's saying. So that's I will tell you what number 2 is. Okay, but here's, you can see the difference between what he says and what he puts on the text.
You can look at certain tribes that were separated from the rest of the world. They still believed. Every civilization, literally in human history, had a belief of a higher entity. So children are
a belief in higher institute. I don't know what he's saying. Higher power. Okay, he said higher something, higher power, higher institute. But what he put in on the screen is every civilization in human history had a belief in God. Okay, civilization. Okay, but not humans. To have, again, he doesn't understand the difference between correlation and causation. The foundation of civilization happened with the invention of God, but this is not a natural part of the mind to believe in. It is a natural part of the mind to believe in to believe in agency in nature or in other places, even if it's not there, but not in God. With gods came civilization. Humans existed long before civilization. So this is not a natural part of our mind to believe in God. But the reason why people think like we have our brains are naturally wired to believe in God is because they use the word God and agency, a higher agency, interchangeably. But we have a specific definition for what God means, especially Muslims. Muslims wouldn't believe, like, I don't know if like some people believed in animism or like spirits in the forest. Like, if you believe like there are spirits in the forest that are controlling nature, do you think Muhammad Ali would call that God? As a Muslim who is anti-shirk, he would be the first person to say that that's not a God. But that natural tendency for our mind to believe in agency also made us for a long time to believe in spirits in nature before we believed in gods. So if he thinks that this tendency proves God, it should also prove a whole bunch of other things that are not God. This should prove Illuminati, to be fair. This also should prove like for hundreds of thousands of years, all those other things, religions, that godless religions, they were true because they believed in other things. They believe like spirits in nature. So that should confirm their ideology. So that's the first problem with what he's saying. Two, just because our minds are wired in a way, that doesn't mean that that reflects objective reality. That's the more important part of this problem. It only means that evolutionary, it made sense for our survival. This is a problem. A lot of Muslims make this argument like, oh, our minds makes this conclusion across many, many people around the world. This is our what? So it must be true. Why? Why should it be true? Why should, just because our minds are disposed to feel, to think a certain way, it doesn't necessarily mean it's true. It could be a glitch in our reasoning, and a useful glitch. It's a useful glitch. So he shows you that studies that our minds think like that, but he doesn't tell you that it has also been proven for our minds to have pattern recognition, to see pattern, to overdo pattern recognition. So our minds see pattern where pattern doesn't exist. This has been proven scientifically. Our minds, and this is across civilizations, across different people all around the world. And also our minds sees agency where agency doesn't exist. This has been proven. Our minds, and again, this gave us evolutionary. This was helpful, even though it's wrong. It was helpful for our survival. It was better for our minds to overdo seeing agency rather than underdoing it. I'm not going to go over why, but the cost of underseeing agency was much higher than overseeing agency for our own survival. So that's why our mind decided to just see, through our evolution, went with overseeing agency. This does not show that the agencies that we see are necessarily real. He's associating a common flaw with our reasoning of our mind across all people as the evidence for the conclusion being correct. What the hell? Why would that make it correct? So here's the thing. We all know that humans are generally biased, when it comes to their reasoning, which makes their conclusions wrong. Should we say no? Their conclusions are correct because they're biased, because it's across the board among many, many humans. I mean, even as a Muslim, Muhammad Ali would agree that we have a natural tendency to want to have sex with outside of marriage, for example, right? This is a natural tendency. So is it the right conclusion then? Because you're against it. I mean, I'm not judging if it's an open relationship, but he is. We have a natural tendency for violence. We have a natural tendency for RAPE. We have a natural tendency, to eat sugar, eat sweets as much as, it's hard. It was evolutionary. It was to our advantage because there was lack of, we were starving for calories. We needed calories where we could get it, everywhere we could get it. So, but everything that was sweet, we would eat it as much as we could because there was not enough calories to go around. But right now, eating sweets is causing us harm. This is basically an appeal to nature. This is a logical, Muslim lantern is making a logical fallacy called appeal to nature. He thinks because it's natural, it must be true. So should we just go eat sweets everywhere we can? Like, what if I get obese? Should I continue eating cakes and sweets because I like it, because it's natural? Because like if I'm really, really fat and obese and it's harming my health, and you come to me and you're like, hey, Armin, maybe stop eating all these sweet food. Should I say like, no? Do you not know that across all civilization, everywhere in the world, people had this tendency to want sweet food? So this must be the correct thing to do because all our brains everywhere in the world, we have we desire sweet food. So should I just continue shoving cake down my throat? because there's this common natural tendency that we all have? I mean, at some point, it was evolutionary advantageous to have that tendency, but now it's not. It's harmful for us right now. This is the same thing. When we were not civilized, when we were living in nature, this over recognizing agency was helpful. It helps us not die. It helped us not being eaten by a freaking lion or something. But now in the civilized world that we're living, our brains are the same brain, but these over tendency to see agency is making us come up with conclusions that are nonsensical, like Islam. Does this make sense? It's very important for you to understand this, because a lot of people who don't understand what I just said will find what Muhammad Ali just said here very convincing. But it's very important for you to understand what I said, or else people will be fooled. You need to understand what I just said and explain this to people who get fooled by these line of reasoning, like what Muhammad Ali just made. It's very important for you to understand. Maybe go and play it back a couple of times if you don't understand it. It's very, very important. Let me see the super chats. Thank you guys for the super chats. As you guys saw, we have been demonetized. Let me take my cough syrup. It's very hard to yell. I wanted to yell today. This was a day that I needed to yell a lot, and it's hard for me to do that because I'm sick. Cough syrup. Guys, okay, so Seth didn't understand what I'm saying. Did anybody? Okay, people understand. Some other people understand. Did you guys understand? Please tell me you understood what I just said, because I want to know that you guys are getting it. So Uzair is saying, do you think ML? Okay, what is ML? Oh, Muslim Lantern. Do you think Muslim Lantern would say, 1, Quran exists because of Allah, or 2, Allah exists because of the Quran, or 3, the Quran and Allah are the same thing? He wouldn't. I think he wouldn't say any of these 3. He wouldn't say that the Quran and Allah are the same thing. He would say that the Quran coexisted with Allah throughout time. And yeah, I think maybe number 1 is the closest one, I think, to what he would say. But it's not that he wouldn't say Allah created the Quran. He would say Quran and Allah existed all together, coexisted at all times. That's what he would probably say, I think. But thank you so much for. But yeah, number 1, I think it would be the closest thing to what he said. Thank you, Zaire. And now Roy. Okay, so Benny saying, yes, Armin, excellent, understand. Okay, so other people understood. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Thank you, guys. Saying, Armin, you're a good man. Thank you. Oh, wait, let me highlight this one first. This is very sweet. Saying, Armin, you're a good man. Thank you for suffering to speak. Well, I will suffer. No, never mind. Well, thank you for that. Okay, let's continue. Let's look at this super chat. So Roy with the 15 shekel super chat. Thank you so much for the shekels, guys, from Israel. We're getting a lot of support from Israel, so thank you for that. Roy saying, it's innate in us that time does not slow down in high speeds. Yes, no need to prove that it doesn't. Also, yeah, exactly. That's a very good point. Also, the 15 shekels are for some warm soup. Okay, I will make sure that I spend that 15 shekels specifically on soup. Thank you, Roy. I appreciate that. And also, Roy just became a member. Well, thank you so much, Roy. I appreciate that as well. Okay, so yeah, actually, that's a very good example. Let me see. This guy is back here, and people are responding to it. That's a very good example, because if you want to go be like, oh, our minds think this way, so it must be true. Well, our mind could never have intuitively, like basically he's making 2 appeals. There's 2 logical fallacies here. Appeal to nature and appeal to intuition. So what Roy was trying to say with his super chat was also appeal to intuition. So intuitively, for example, we would never imagine that matter and energy can convert to each other. Right? That's why we don't trust our intuitions. That's why we created the scientific method, because the scientific method shows that our intuitions are flawed. It's not a very reliable source of information, or it's not. So it's not a very, both with empiricism and rationalism, we have come up with very systematic methods to reduce the effect of the problems our mind have, the flaws our mind has when it comes to conclusions. But our minds are flawed, and Muslim Lantern should also agree with me in that, because he considers the human mind to be flawed compared to the mind of God. So given that our minds are flawed, you shouldn't trust a conclusion that the human mind makes just simply because it's a conclusion by a human mind, even if it's common, even if it's worldwide. Oh, he's making a third logical fallacy. So he's saying it's natural, so it must be true. He's saying it's intuitive, so it must be true. And he's also making an appeal to popularity. He's saying it's worldwide. This is a conclusion that we're making by everyone around the world. But it's not everyone. But he says that children everywhere have this intuitive feeling that there is a higher power somewhere. So because he's saying it's so worldwide, it must be true. And again, that's another logical fallacy, which is appeal to popularity. Guys, when it comes to, remember, when it comes to coming up with conclusions, right, we have two methods, rationalism and empiricism. And we have some dumb ways called faith and revelation. Okay, those are you could throw those ones out, right? But the two good ones are rationalism and empiricism. And empiricism is so much superior, very, like, by huge margin superior to rationalism. Okay, so if you ever could do empiricism is superior to rationalism. Okay, but we can't always do empiricism because we don't have scientifically collected data for everything. So we are forced to rely on rationalism as the second most best methodology to come up with conclusions. But both for rationalism and empiricism, we have come up with systematic methods that work. So empiricism started a long time ago, okay? Like since the very beginning of time that we started observing, our nature, and people like Aristotle tried to systematize it. But we have managed to come up with the best methods of doing empiricism in modern history, and we call it the scientific method, the modern scientific method. So the best method of doing empiricism is called the modern scientific method. And the best way to do rationalism, we also did so much trial and error, and we came up with the best way of doing rationalism that gives us the best consistent conclusions, and we call that critical thinking. And the way to be good at both of these, when it comes to empiricism, just study the scientific method and figure out why it works and how it works. And when it comes to rationalism, study critical thinking skills. And to do that, you just have to study logical fallacies. So right now, when I tell you Muhammad Ali just made three logical fallacies, that's basically just trying to do critical thinking skills properly, in a proper way. And that's the rationalism part, right? So if you just know 20 logical fallacies and why they are logical fallacies, that's you already have gotten rationalism better than vast majority of the people out there, right? So again, let's continue with the rest of this video.
Civilization, literally in human history, had a belief of a higher entity. So children are born, even in societies which are atheistic, and I'm giving studies and references. You just
I understand. I agree with you.
They innately believe in a creator. So why do I need to prove something which is innately a part of my human nature? Just like
because in something that is innately part of your human nature, a type of coming up with conclusions that are innately part of your human nature does not make it true. It does not make it true. If it did, then RAPE is also innately, we are also naturally born to, want to do that, or violence, or many other things. So it's a very dumb point, by the way, Muhammad Ali. Like, oh, we have naturally we have this innate desire, innate tendency to believe this, so it must be true. Why? It doesn't follow. Okay, your premise does not lead to the conclusion.
Like there are I believe the belief on God is an axiomatic thing that you're born with, just like
why
the rationality is an axiomatic thing that you're born with, just like knowing causality is a real thing, is an axiomatic thing that you're born with. Just like intuitively knowing that you're choosing is an axiomatic thing that you're born.
No, just because we are born with a set, but here, this is such a dumb point. You know, obviously, if our minds were wired in a way to come up with conclusions that was completely detached from reality, we will die. But that doesn't mean it's completely reflective of reality, right? So when we are born, we intuitively know that if for example, if I hit a ball at the wall, right, intuitively I can feel that it's going to come back. Like our mind, our brains are wired in a way to think, like to understand Newtonian physics, right? Like for example, if a dog, like if you throw something at a dog, it will try to dodge it because it intuitively understands how physics work, right? Or if you wash your dog, then it will shake itself to try to get dry because it intuitively understands inertia, for example. And understanding inertia and Newtonian physics, our brains are wired to understand that naturally, intuitively, because they helped us survive. So these intuitions are a good reflection of objective reality. But just because we have intuitions that are good reflection of objective reality, that doesn't mean that all our intuitions are good reflections of objective reality. So he just made the logical fallacy here, which is hasty generalization. He's coming up with examples of why our intuition or our nature has good reflections of objective reality. And he says, because those are good, then the believing in a higher power thing, that should also be a good reflection of objective reality. No. Why? This is hasty generalization. Obviously, our mind should have good intuitions of objective reality, because if it didn't, we would die, right? But sometimes certain bad intuitions helped us survive. Again, like seeing agency where agency is not there, like overdoing it, or pattern recognition, overdoing that.
I don't need to prove anything to anyone.
Well,
I don't bother to try.
But if I can explain this feeling, this sensation of God in another way, in a natural way, like we see pattern, we see faces in the clouds and hear the rustling.
I don't see faces in the clouds. Well, what do you do?
We see patterns.
Look at Muhammad Ali. Okay, so Andy knows what he's talking about. So when Andy is like saying like, okay, yeah, but we see faces in the cloud, he's talking about pattern recognition, overdoing pattern recognition. So seeing pattern where pattern doesn't exist. This is a scientifically proven thing, that we do see patterns, or sometimes we see faces where there are no faces. And Muhammad Ali like just laughs it off. Like, I don't see faces in clouds. Okay, Muhammad Ali, guys, I don't feel a higher sense of power. Like, what Andy is saying is something that is scientifically proven for how the human mind operates. This is a logical fallacy that Muhammad Ali just used. This logical fallacy is called anecdotal evidence. He's dismissing what Andy is saying just because he has not experienced it. If we use Muhammad Ali's line of reasoning, I could dismiss his point as well. My brain, for some reason, does not feel agency, at all, like in places where other people, like the whole idea of like, oh, feeling like there's a presence of something seeing you, or a ghost, even if I don't believe in it, sometimes feeling it. I've never felt that. I understand that many people feel that. I don't feel those sense of agencies behind walls or behind curtains or somebody looking at me. I never felt that. Okay? So if you're telling to Andy that you don't see faces in clouds, so what he's saying is wrong, then can I say that you're wrong? Because I personally have never sensed that sense of higher power as a child, as an adult. Never have I sensed that. So you acting like you have a scientific mind, but when it proves your point, when you think it proves your point, you appeal to science. But when Andy is telling you something that has been proven scientifically, now all of a sudden you throw out science and you appeal to your own personal experience rather than the scientific findings. again, so guys, what Andy is referring to is exactly that. Andy is referring to seeing pattern recognition when there's no pattern.
But if I can explain this feeling, the sensation of God in another way, in a natural way, like we see pattern, we see faces in the clouds and hear the rustling.
I don't
of the
see
grass.
faces in the clouds. Well, what you do?
We see
maybe if you drink something. Maybe if you drink.
Yeah, like it, just dismiss it, like just making fun of his point. You're not seriously trying to understand Andy. This is not a good faith argument. You're just being dismissive of his point. You know how much more ridiculous and funny your beliefs are? The guy is referring to pattern recognition, which is a scientific term, and he's laughing at his belief, like, oh, maybe when you drink, you see faces in the cloud. The guy who believes that, Muhammad rode on a flying mount with a woman's face to heaven is laughing at the guy that is referring to something that is completely scientific.
Children do that. You're talking about children. Things.
No,
that
these studies don't prove what you said. These studies that were done shows that they say there's something high above.
These are not the same studies, Muhammad Ali. He's talking about something else. You freaking idiot. You don't even understand what Andy's saying. Like these studies, as if there's only, like these studies that you're saying do not say what they say. Do you even know what he's saying? The studies that he's referring to are something different from what you have referred to. Like these people who don't understand science, they just have a basic, like they go and look what other Muslims are interpreting science, and they just have a very shallow understanding of the conclusion, and they're just going to throw it in your face wherever you go.
These studies that were done shows that they say there's something high above. They don't call that thing whatever they didn't call it a human being. They didn't say it looks like a creation.
No. But I mean, what I'm saying is that children believe loads of crazy things for absolutely no reason.
Children. Again, if you put toys next to a Christmas tree and you tell children that a fat man came down the chimney and brought those here, they were like, okay. I mean, guys, no offense, but children are not very smart. Okay, children. I mean, most of them are kind of dumb. I mean, imagine believing that a fat guy came down a chimney and brought you toys, and that's the source of your information. The people who believe in that, you're like, oh, children believe that, so it must be true. Okay, sure.
There's no universal.
They anthropomorphize a lot of nature for
no
reason.
No. Every universe. This is something which is a fact. Every universal belief that we're born with as human beings, as children, is true. For example.
Oh, everybody believes it, so it must be true. What the hell? Okay, guys, everybody, if you didn't have science, everybody would believe that the world is flat, the earth is flat. Everybody, using their own reasoning and their own intuition, without using science, they will look around them and they will think the earth is flat. Okay, if we didn't have science, that would be the natural conclusion that we would come up with. Would that make the earth flat? I mean, I don't know. Maybe Muhammad Ali does think that. Does it make, if everybody intuitively, before science shows them otherwise, if everybody intuitively thinks the earth is flat, does that make earth flat? So why would you think that if everybody, even though it's not everybody, but let's say if it's everybody, if everybody intuitively thinks that there's a higher power, does that make that higher power real?
Well, I'll give you.
Oh my God!
There's no universal. They anthropomorphize a lot of nature for no reason.
No. Every universe. This is something which is a fact. Every universal belief that we're born with as human beings, as children, is true. For example, I'll give you already an example. Universal belief. That means all children are born with that belief. You're saying some children have crazy stories. That's irrelevant. I'm talking about everyone being born with something. So when you have children from 20 different countries, like the study showed, from 20.
And actually, it's not every. Soha is pointing out that we have found people separated from civilization that don't believe in any God, don't have any concept of a God. So, for example, there have been a couple of examples. I remember there was a tribe in the Amazon. So Soha is mentioning one, but also there was another tribe in Amazon that couldn't even comprehend why we had the belief in a God belief. It was completely foreign to them. So it's not every tribe. It's not every tribe or every civilization.
Different backgrounds, being all saying the same thing. Essentially, it's an innate thing within human beings. So, for example, we have an innate thing of knowing causality, cause and effect. That's why you always see children saying, where did this come from? Why, when, where did it come from? Who did this, who did that? And there are multiple studies as well on causality. Like, for example, you put objects on a table.
Yeah, Newtonian physics, we intuitively understand causality and Newtonian physics, but intuitively we don't understand quantum physics. Quantum physics shows us like particles disappearing completely from one place and reappearing somewhere else. So intuitively, that is completely foreign to us. Does that make that not true?
Able to remove the table without the objects and the
But
baby
that
will shock.
explains the phenomenon.
Step by step. I'm trying,
Okay,
step by
yeah,
step.
sure.
I'm trying to make a point. So this causal belief, cause and effect, is an intuitive thing that is within human beings, and this is true. Another thing that human beings have is they have a sense of even justice that we're born with, equality in a way to say. If you have two babies and you give a baby one cookie, you don't give it to the other baby. The other baby will get upset.
Yeah, monkeys and dogs do that as well. I have 2 dogs. If I pet one of them, the other one gets really, really like angry that why am I not getting petted, right? So, and also there's experiments on monkeys, which I could show you another time, which is quite interesting. They have a concept of fairness. Again, these are evolutionary. The concept of fairness being something that was innate within us, it had an evolutionary advantage for us to cooperate. This is easily explainable.
Cry because it recognizes a sense of injustice that is innately put by the creator. This is the claim I'm making.
But why by the creator?
I'm coming to that.
Sure.
By the creator within that baby is also another intuitive thing that we exist. It's an axiomatic thing. It's an intuitive knowledge within every human being that he.
Again, he thinks just because something is intuitive is axiomatic. You don't understand what axiomatic means. We could have intuitive ways of looking at the world that is not reflective of objective reality. I don't understand why he thinks that something that is intuitive is necessarily true.
Exists, is aware of his own self, and there are surroundings around him. So I'm making the claim that all of these are intuitive beliefs that are universal, and all of them are true. And one of them is the belief on God, because it's also an intuitive, universal belief that everyone has.
Intuitive, first of all, it's not universal. It's widespread. Widespread and universal are 2 different things. But even if it were universal, intuitive and universal, it does not mean true.
But one of the things you described here, this causal belief, is the same.
You guys, intuitive and universal means it was evolutionary advantageous. It does not necessarily mean it's true. It only means that it was evolutionary advantageous.
This is just the same as explains why we believe in God, because we see connections in everything. We try and apply meaning to everything. That explains it.
I already told you the study disagrees with that. They don't say I believe in a creator because this has to come from this, that has to come from that.
You don't understand the study, Muhammad Ali. The study only is talking about an intuition that doesn't prove anything that you think.
No, that's not what I'm saying either.
They don't give you the children don't say we believe in a creator because of the cosmological argument or something. They don't start telling you.
You don't understand what Andy is trying to say.
Things that come into existence, they require a cause and a cause.
I agree. I'm saying that this is the same thing. I'm saying that the causal belief.
Andy, I feel like we're going in a circle.
Look, you're not even. Andy is trying to make a point that Muhammad Ali is not understanding, and Muhammad Ali is not even letting Andy make his point. Muhammad Ali just has memorized certain narratives, certain talking point that just think it works, but he doesn't engage in an argument. The guy is making points that is completely going over Muhammad Ali's head, but Muhammad Ali just knows that certain talking points that if he just say, people would either get his point or they won't. And he doesn't care what the other person says. If the other person is not understanding you, then he's just going to shut down, like it's not agreeing with you, understanding from his perspective, then he's just going to shut down the conversation and move on. So Muhammad Ali is not here to have an argument with you. Muhammad Ali is here to preach to you. And if you accept, then you accept. If you don't, then he's just going to cut you. And at some point, he's just going to end the conversation. This was a very one-sided conversation. Look at this. Look how Andy is trying. Muhammad Ali completely misunderstood what Andy was saying. And when Andy is trying to now explain it to him, Muhammad Ali is not having it. Listen.
See, we try and apply meaning to everything. That explains it.
I already told you the study disagrees with that. They don't say I believe in a creator because this has to come from this, that has to come from that.
No, that's not what I'm saying either.
They don't give you the children don't say we believe in a creator because of the cosmological argument or something. They don't start
that's
telling
not
you
what
things
him.
that come in.
That's not at all what Andy was saying, you idiot.
Existence, they require a cause and a
I
cause.
agree.
The
I'm
whole
saying
thing
that
is
this
just
is the
not
same
being right.
thing. I'm saying that the
Look,
causal belief.
Andy, I feel like
See?
we're going in a circle a little bit. Look, my claim is very simple.
Okay.
It's an innate, you already agreed with me that studies show this, that it's an innate thing that we as human beings and every civilization existed are being born believing in a creator. Now you need to tell me why is that wrong. I don't need to tell you anything because that's a fact already that exists, that is within human beings. For you to try to convince me that it is wrong, you need to give me why is the reasons why it's wrong. I don't need to accept your reasons.
Why should Andy give you a reason? You're making the freaking claim, you idiot. You're making the claim. You should be giving the reasons. This is why I'm telling you he doesn't understand skepticism, and that's why he thinks skepticism is crazy, because he doesn't even understand it. You're making the claim. You have to provide the evidence. You have to provide the argument. The burden of proof, okay, is on the shoulders of the claimant.
I trust my innate experience and my rationality as well.
The logic of
Imagine, okay, yeah, trusting your innate experiences is the reason why society was not progressing as fast as it did in the past 200 years. Okay, we had for thousands of years people just trusted their innate experiences, and then in the past 200 years people are like, what if the human mind is not as good in doing rationalism? What if we come up with systematic methods to try to make up for the flaws of the way the human mind intuitively comes up with conclusions, and come up with standards for us to make up for that, for make up for the bias and the intuitive flaws that the human minds have. And voila, the scientific method was invented, and look at how the world changed because of it. I mean, it must be working given the results. It must be reflective of objective reality. I mean, or at least so much pragmatically, it's almost as if it reflects objective reality so much that it's working. I mean, technology is proof that it's working. So yeah, you fail. You failed. This methodology of coming up with conclusions have proven to work. Your method, what do you have to show? What do you have to show for your methodology? What has Islam or Christianity or Hinduism, how has it changed the world? How has it made our lives better? Other than, I don't know, Allah Akbaring your way to, I don't know, things that I can't even say on YouTube, right? Other than making people's lives more miserable. What do you have to show for yourself? What do you have to show for yourself? How has your methodology made the world better when it comes to coming up with conclusions? Our methodology of coming up with conclusions is superior, and we can show it to you. We can show it to you. I mean, you're using it. We have the internet because of it. We have computers because of it. We have medicine because of it. What does your methodology give us? It gives us nothing. It just holds us back. That's what it does.
Your argument being that we have this experience of God, that we know that God exists, and so this is proof of God existing. And I'm saying that in order to disprove
I didn't say that way, but okay.
No, I know you didn't. And that's kind of what I'm rephrasing it to make my point here, because that if you demonstrate that this cause, this feeling, this knowledge can come from something else, and I think it comes from what you said about this causal belief, this belief that everything is connected.
What's your evidence to support that?
I think that it's the same belief. I think that you're logically I think you're just restating.
Evidence. I asked for evidence, not what
I know you're asking for evidence. I'm stating.
There's scientific papers on all of this and everything I said. He thinks that he provided scientific evidence, but the research that he showed, I've seen that before because I reviewed it. That's just one Muslim just cherry picking data. And again, go watch my stream on it, and being very dishonest, and also not understanding the difference between correlation and causation. It's not even a study. It's one guy's biased publication that is not even peer reviewed. But what I'm saying, everything I said, there is scientific evidence for seeing agency where agency doesn't exist, and also seeing pattern where pattern doesn't exist. There is evidence for everything I just said, scientific evidence.
I think that your explanation is a word game. You're stating that belief in God and belief in causality are different things. I'm saying they're the same thing.
How are children saying that there is a divine, something higher above them, is equal to believing that something requires a cause? How is that equal?
Okay, again, he's playing. Andy is right. He's playing a language game. People, children seeing causality in some higher power, which is not, and he's lying. It's not always above them. Okay, it could be anywhere. I mean, for most of human history, before civilization, it was not above them. I mean, and it was only above them when it was associated with things coming from the sky, like rain or thunder, right? But our mind, we saw causality, causality with agency, even though it didn't have agency from on ground level and from below us as well. I don't know why he thinks that we saw, like, our mind is set to think that it's coming from above. No, with rain and sun and thunder, we saw gods from above, but we also saw gods or spirits from below us and on ground level as well. So he's making, the studies don't show what he's saying. It shows it's just seeing agency again. So he doesn't even understand the studies that he's citing.
Are different things. I'm saying they're the same thing.
How are children saying that there is a divine, something higher above them, is equal to
divine? It was no mention of divine, no mention of God. It was just agency. It was just agency.
believing that something requires a cause? How is that equal?
Because they're just belief in the nature of purpose, the meaning and understanding causes.
Anyways, okay, I'll let you go, Andy.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't want to let him speak. You don't understand what Andy is saying, and you just want to let him go. So you just want to do the preaching, and you don't want any explanation.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, I'll let you go. Anyways, it was
Yeah.
it was
interesting.
Yeah, let's just put it that way. Okay, Andy, I believe I gave you answers from my perspective. Anyways.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, I give you answers, but I was not interested in hearing what you had to
Thank you
say.
for your time.
No problem,
I'm sure we could.
I
argue
appreciate
for hours.
the good manners in the discussion. Thank you for.
Thank you.
Burn in hell, by the way. And I appreciate your good manners, which is technically not good, by the way, Muhammad Ali, because he's an atheist and he doesn't believe in God. So he could technically do no good. And no matter how polite Andy is, he is evil enough, according to Muhammad Ali, for him to suffer in unimaginable pain forever and ever and ever and ever. That's what Muhammad Ali believes is the definition of good. Imagine believing in that and thinking you're the sane one. That's Islam for you guys. That's Islam for you. Anyways, guys, please make sure you like this stream. It's very important that you do that. Again, I'm smacking nonsense beliefs left and right. Right? I think I'm doing a very good job at doing it. I've been on YouTube, other videos, other streams. They do a good job as well, but I think we're doing a really great job. I think this channel is one of the best channels in just smacking dogmatic nonsense left and right. So you can support us by liking the stream, by recommending this channel to as many people as you can, by subscribing, hitting the bell notification. Oh, also get people to come and debate me. I want debates. My DMs are open on Twitter. Guys, you could find me on Twitter. I have a blue check mark. Okay, so it's easy to find. On Twitter, Armin Navabi. My DMs are open. I want debates. Or if you don't want to debate me, go, but you want to see me debate people, go bring people, go tell people to, like, hey, DM this guy to debate Armin. Okay, go get me people to debate. Okay, especially Muslims. Okay, I want to debate Muslims. I want to debate anti-Israel people. Yeah, I want to debate anti-liberal. Mostly these two. Okay, people who are anti-Israel and people that are not even Muslim, just pro-Islam. Even if you're not a Muslim, pro-Islam and anti-Israel. I want to debate those people. Okay, so if you know people who are either anti-Israel or pro-Islam, bring them to me. Go tell them to DM me on Twitter, and I will bring them up here, and we will have a live debate. If you want to see those debates, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell notification, because at some point we're going to have a lot of debates on this channel. Okay, and a lot of people who are really angry with me right now in the live chat because I am pro-Israel, and they're like, oh, Armin, you're pro-genocide, you're evil, you want children to die. Go find somebody. If you want to see your points being made on this channel, go get the guys that you think are good to come show how I am a genocidal maniac, how I'm evil, how I'm so pro-war. Go find somebody, go get the big guns, bring them here so they could humiliate me in front of all this audience. So you guys be happy, right? That would be happy if you bring somebody that could show my evil ways. Okay. So go please find me somebody to debate, and we will have debates here on the show. Anyways, I have to go. I'm kind of late for the next show. I have a show on my Persian channel, Jomhuriye Bi Khodayam, which is the Persian version of this channel, which has mostly an audience in Iran. So I do an English show, and then after that I do a Persian show on the Persian channel for my audience, mostly in Iran. All right, guys, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who liked the stream, but also, and more importantly, shame on everybody who liked it, who watched the stream and didn't like it. Okay, shame on you. Go sit in the corner and think about how useless you are. Okay, you take and you don't give back. Okay, you watch the stream. I was here for 1 hour and 40 minutes, and you didn't give me 1 second of your time to like the stream. Shame on you. Shame. All right. Thank you, guys. No, thank you to people who like. Until next show. Bye. Mwah.